Welcome, I'm Sinead, and we're going to get right back into working on that cardboard dollhouse. Just jumping right in right now. I'm working on the windows, and I have used packaging from a doll box, and I've glued, this is stir sticks, that's what I used for the frame here, and this will be glued on top of this, which will then be glued in SC's room. This is going to go in the tavern, and it has a different frame. Yeah, you can see my light. We're using the black like I used around the doors and door frames and whatnot in the tavern, and so I have to paint these black, and this is as you can see not the same thing. It's not stir stick. It is crafting basswood, and off the top of my head I do not know the dimensions, but it makes for a heavier look in the tavern of thicker lumber. Okay, this window is ready to go in to SC's little apartment, and this window is almost there. I'll be gluing the rest of it together next. As see, it's got the centerpiece has to go in, and of course the view. You gotta have the view. Both the windows are installed. Okay, we've got the ceiling next floor actually glued in place, and the support over on the corner. You like my fancy weights? I've put my extension in, so I just cut the wire and then put in another wire. This doesn't sound very straightforward, but it is. You can twist the wires together and cover them with electrical tape, and that works just fine. It's probably the most accessible and easy way to do this. I used heat shrink tubes over the connection because I have them, and that's the only reason. But it's match your colors, you know, black to black, red to red, and that way you don't have any chance of getting it mixed up. Just trying to get an idea of how I want to arrange the walls in the for this floor of the dollhouse, and I'm trying to figure out what to do there with the sink, because I want counter on either side of it, and do I want to make a full wall or whether just a half wall. I'm kind of leaning towards the half wall because I'd kind of like that imaginary pass through, but that means that somewhere here along that line I'm gonna need to support the floor above. So, well, it looks like it's time for another word from our cheeky little sponsor. So I've been cutting out the cardboard to create the walls, and I'm doing the back wall in 2 pieces this time because the last back wall was really warped and hard to pull in. So I thought, well, we'll just extend the side walls all the way to the back, and we'll make the back wall in 2 pieces. But in the process of this, I discovered that not all cardboards are equal. Which, you know, but you don't think about it when you're putting it together until this is 4 layers of cardboard, and it's thinner than 3 layers of another box. So if you need your walls when you're building them to be consistently the same thickness, which I am trying for a similar thickness in consistency across my back wall support, then I'm going to actually have to add a 5th layer to this wall because of the cardboard itself is thinner, to keep it closer to the other half of the wall, which is made from a thicker cardboard. Also, when using pieces of cardboard that have a fold, like this is the flap and the body of the box in order to get the size that I needed. When I do the other piece, one's going this way, and then the one on the back side the fold is going this way. So you're trying to not line them up. You're trying to make sure that if you can't get them, like I did on here, opposite of, or perpendicular to each other, there I get to use a math word, that you at least stagger them so that they aren't all landing in exactly the same spot. You don't want all of your folds in the same spot, or your wall will have a bend. And it's totally okay to piece. Like, I am going to have to piece this in order to get another one the same dimensions. So I've got one part of it is here, so the same thing applies to the fold as to the seams. If you end up with seams, try not to line them up. Try to make sure that you staggered them away from each other within the wall. And I don't know if I can make this trick that I'm about to use clear, but I'm hoping I can. So this is the partial piece of cardboard right here, and I've got it lined up with the outside edge. Now I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to use that to line up with this other piece, which has already been cut to the right width. Make sure that it's in here tight, and that my cardboard here, I'm checking my edges. I guess you can't see that. Checking this edge to make sure that the cardboard hasn't shifted, that it is still in alignment with the thick sheet that I'm trying to do, and then make sure that the other piece that I need to cut is up snug against it without shifting. Yeah, I just shifted. Okay, I think we're back. Then I'm going to take a pen and I'm going to mark along the edge here, and that'll give me a fairly accurate cut line for creating the secondary piece. So now the two pieces can glue on here and be that extra layer I need, and I didn't have to find a whole piece. I would prefer if I'm going to do this and I didn't. If I had been doing this extra layer, the pieced layer, when I was building this wall, I would have preferred it to be sandwiched in the interior. That's actually my preference, but I'm having to add another layer, and I'm trying to not cut into the big box that I need for the next floor. So I'm piecing at this point. And like I said, if I'd been putting this in the wall when I first made the wall, I would put a pieced, a two-part piece in the interior of the wall so that that seam would be sandwiched between two whole pieces. I hope that makes sense. I also try to keep any print like this to the inside. It just makes wallpapering, whichever side of the wall ends up on the inside of the house, it makes wallpapering it easier. You don't have to worry about if your paper is thick enough, or the word is opaque, I believe, enough to cover that print. So, it just makes it easier later. I'll probably also put this seam on the outside, and at some point I may want to finish off the outside of this house, but at the present, the plan is not to be concerned with the back of the dollhouse because it's up against a wall. But you may be in a different situation for what you're building, and the outside may be really important to you. So, think of, be kind to future you, and put those dark prints on the inside so that you have nice, clean, plain outsides. Be sure you put something heavy on your stack of cardboard to kind of even out all the warps that are going to just naturally be there. Whether you used encyclopedias, dictionaries, or in my case, I've got a treasure chest and a toolbox because they were handy and heavy enough to hold the cardboard down and in contact with the glue. None of the edges. Double check that, because sometimes a corner will be stubborn and be sticking up, and you'll need to find something to hold down the corner. But yeah, be sure you clamp it down with weight while it's drying. So I was laying out my interior wall that I had planned between the kitchen and the dining room, and I realized this space that I was creating here is too narrow. It's one of the benefits of kind of laying out what you plan on putting in, and if you've got a doorway, as it were, or pathway, you can find out that whether or not those that amount of space that you left is actually wide enough. So I'm going to have to cut off this wall to get my pathway through here, my doorway, as it were, the right width. So it doesn't look funny, because if I left it like this, what is that? 2 inches, it would actually look funny. So I'm gonna make that wider, but these represent some posts that I've got gluing up here that are the full height. They're what is gonna help hold the next floor up. And now that looks a lot more reasonable for Cindy or someone that size, a doll that size, to walk through. This time around, I am going to try and get the wallpaper in before I put the walls in place. So it'll take me a little bit longer to get to the stage where I'm putting the walls in an upright position. In here in the kitchen, this part will have countertop covering it, and I think the fridge is going to be right in the middle. And then I'll have to build, so I don't need to put the wallpaper all the way down, which is good because I don't have enough to do that. And I've got, this is an outside wall, and I've got the edge here covered in brown paper, and it's drying. And I did the other edge that was going to show, which is, we've got a kind of a pass-through in the kitchen with the sink in the kitchen going to the wall that will be the living room on the other side, or I mean the dining room on the other side. And so I closed this off with the brown paper, and then the wallpaper will go on like that, and then counter will cover all the rest of that wall. So I'll have to plan out the wallpaper for the dining room so that I can do this side, and then these 3 walls, this back wall, and the end wall, and the interior wall can all be installed. But first, wallpaper. Here is the main decoration for the dining room. This centerpiece here isn't glued in because I'm going to wait and glue that in after the walls are installed, because this is the corner of the room, and I need it to go around that corner in order to be enough. And this is the accent wall, the pass-through wall of the dining room with the kitchen on the back. So that's ready so that I could actually put together, I think, the kitchen here pretty quick. So I've got the walls taped together so you can kind of see where we're going. The wiring over here, that shows that the patch I put in is long enough to take the power up for the next strip of lighting. We have to add our posts to hold the next floor, and there will be cabinets in here along next to all of the appliances that I still have to build, of course. This is all I have time for this week, so we'll see you next week and continue from here. I hope you have a great week and a wonderful day, and I'll see you on Wednesday at Craft and Chat. Bye-bye.